been a while since it's been a while since we've done one of these reviews, so let's see what's going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth real estate. Okay, this is the information about median pricing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for 4 major counties: Dallas County, Collin, Denton, and Tarrant County. So this right here, this little piece of the graph is 2025. This piece of the graph is 2024, 2023, and so on. Let's take a look at what is happening with the prices for 4 different counties and also how it compares with prices last year. So far, what I'm noticing is that even though we are seeing a little bit of an increase in some counties, for many counties, the prices are flat since last year and also flat since 2023 as well. Okay, let's take a look. Who is doing better than most? I would say that for right now, Tarrant County seems to be doing better than, for example, Collin County. So if you look at the Collin County, the prices this year so far for April, we do not have the data for May yet. We only have data for April. As far as April is concerned, April 2025, Collin County median prices for 80 at the same time last year. Collin County was almost 500. So 20K minus, not a huge decrease, but I'm sure that the sellers are still not happy with it. If we look at the trend, so imagine you draw a straight line from the top point. The top point was May 2022. And to now, for all of these counties, you will see that Collin County seems to be the one with the biggest loss so far, at least the most pronounced loss. Denton County, which is green, also is in a loss, but not quite as steep as Collin County. And also we are seeing that the prices in Denton County are currently more on the upswing than they are in Collin County, for example. So if Collin County was kind of like trending flat right now since February, almost flat, Denton County is really seeing a noticeable price increase. Okay? So that's the green portion, green line. Then we have blue line. So it seems to me that Dallas County, which is the blue line, even though it does have a loss since 2022, like all counties do, it is the one that has one of the flattest ones. So if we draw a straight line from here to here, the lines, we'll just say in May 2022, Dallas County was 395. Right now, 385, 10K difference. While in Collin County, it was 395. Sorry, Collin County was 575. And now it is 480, 100K, right? So 100K loss in value for Collin County. Actually can check right now. So Collin County, 100K loss. Dallas County, only 10K loss, which means that even though we experienced some ups and downs, overall, we kind of are trending at the same level as we did at the peak of 2022. For those people who are saying everything is horrible and everything is going to hell in a handbasket and the entire real estate market is crashing and burning, not in every county. So for example, Dallas County came out pretty well. Okay, let's look for Tarrant County. Actually, let's look for Denton County. Denton County in May 2022 was 500 as a median, and right now it is 467. So approximately $33,000 loss. which is better than Collin County with almost $100,000 loss. Then Dallas County, we already said 395, 385, $10,000 loss. And then Tarrant County was 375, and right now it is 350, $25,000 loss. The result, we can rank the losers. We can sadly rank the losers. The biggest loser, unfortunately, is Collin County, which is sad because Collin County is one of the fastest growing counties. I think this month it was announced that 5 cities or 4 cities in Collin County made into 15 fastest growing cities. No, actually, not all of them. Some of them were not in Collin. But anyhow, long story short, Collin County is one of the most popular counties for people to go to, for school districts, etc. But it's losing in value, which is not surprising. I have my own thoughts on what is happening in Collin County. Some of it has to do with an advancement of artificial intelligence, because Collin County is so heavily reliant on the tech sector for high-paying jobs. And I think that with time, as the artificial intelligence starts to make more inroads with the employers, we're going to see more of an effect of artificial intelligence on Collin County than, let's just say, on Tarrant or in Dallas County. That's just my thinking. We will see if I'm right. And also, the prices in Collin County became so inflated in 2022 because so many people from California were coming, not just California, they were Arizona and Nevada and Massachusetts, East Coast, West Coast. But so many people were coming to Collin County because of the high tech sector, because that's where the new Silicon Valley was. Everybody wanted to be next to these high tech companies. That it attracted people from more high priced states. They brought their money with them. They bought up a bunch of properties that inflated or created a bubble. But after that, the flow of newcomers from those states has reduced maybe by half, maybe by a little bit more, a little bit less than half. And as a result, that fast growth started to deflate. Like no bubble can inflate forever. No growth can last forever. Like even trees at some point stop growing, right? Even though they grow very tall. But anyhow, so the Collin County, because it was so popular with out-of-state buyers who brought their money into the county, they inflated the prices, I think. And now we're just seeing kind of normalization of those prices to be where they would have been without such an expansion of out-of-state migration. Okay, Denton County was similar, very similar, like the Frisco versus Lil Elm versus Krugerville versus, let's just say, what are there, Aubrey. So all of the cities around Frisco, above 380, Prosper, all of those cities benefit from that explosive growth, similar to how the Collin County was benefiting. You will see that Collin County is trending and Denton County are like twins. In many ways, they mimic each other to such a degree, it's almost like impossible to say where, like if we remove those colors, it would be hard to say where is Collin County, where is Denton County. They're so close, like twin brothers in their patterns. Anyhow, so I would expect, just my prediction, guys, just my prediction, that in the future, the prices in Collin County, in Denton County, will continue to decrease more, or will continue to normalize faster than prices in, let's just say, Tarrant or Dallas County, whose growth was more organic from the inside rather than brought from the outside. But that is just my kind of thinking. Feel free to disagree. Type in your comments if you disagree. Alrighty, so that is the median growth. So what median price? What are we observing as far as trends? So we started in January. So this is our beautiful January 2025. We see that Collin County started really well. By February, it already gained. Then it flattened out. and it continues to stay flat. So there is almost no significant growth from February. Quite the opposite for Denton County. In Denton County, we see that we started January on a on 447 node. It went down. It went down in February. It barely went back up to 447 in March, and now it's finally swinging out. So the Denton County gave its investors and flippers and home sellers a little bit of a scare by going down at the beginning of the year, but we're coming out of that. We're swinging back up to almost match the position of Dallas County. Now, on on Collin County, on the Dallas County side, we started at 343, the median price, and then literally within 1 month we jumped to 370. That's a huge increase, and then we continued to climb up, and we kind of went flat from March to April. But Dallas County had the best curve. So if you were flipping and you were in Dallas County at that time, you did well. But if you were in Denton County, you might have had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. Compared to, for example, Tarrant County, in which we started the year at 341, in February we increased by merely 5K. Then we straightened out, and then we're trending like there's really no change. There is really no growth right now. Right now, and we're not. This is not May yet. So very flat results. No price growth from the Tarrant County. Okay, so that was our pricing. Let's take a look at my favorite thing called months of supply. Months of supply is interesting to me because sometimes we cannot see in pricing what's really happening in the market, but months of supply shows us the relationship between supply and demand. How do we arrive at the months of supply? We take the number of unsold homes for 1 month for 30 days, and we divide it by the number of sold houses for the same time period. And let's just say that they were 100 homes for sale within the 30 days, but only, let's just say 20 of them sold. That leaves us with five months of supply, which means that at this rate, it would take, if a rate doesn't change, it would take 5 months for that 100 homes to become all sold. So I like the months of supply because it shows the relationship, and it shows the buildup of the inventory compared to the supply, compared to the demand. So what do we see here? We see that right now we are in the highest number of months of inventory, means unsold homes divided by sold homes, since the beginning of pre-COVID time, which is 2022, and since a while. It means that in the last 3 years, we have not seen so many unsold homes. And that means that unless you're very careful about the zip code in which you're in, which is the topic of a different video, and I am going to post that video over here as a link once it's ready, because that's a super important video if you're flipping. Unless you're careful about which zip code you're in, you may end up sitting on the market unsold together with all of these people right here for months. Why? Because the high interest rate, so we have the buyers are only looking at their monthly payment compared to, just say that they're renting right now, or their monthly payment on their current mortgage right now is $2,500. But if they are to move to a new property, even if it's a beautiful, spanking, brand new flip, and their monthly payment goes to $3,700 for the same square footage, same amenities that they were when they were in the previous home and when they were renting, then they're asking themselves, what's the point of the move? Why, you see, for you guys who are flippers, you think that your price has dropped. That's what you think. You're looking at it from your side like, oh, if I sold this property back in blah, 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 I would have made 50K more. Yes, you would have made 50K more, and the buyers would have paid less. But unfortunately, the way that it works right now, insurance went up, taxes went up, interest rate went up. As a result, the monthly payment ballooned. So even though your prices are flat or lower than they used to be in 2022, the monthly payments for the mortgage owners or the applicants are 1.5 times of what they were 3 years ago. As a result, many people are just asking themselves, can I afford to be house poor? And why should I buy this brand new flip or this new property if I'm already comfortable where I am and I have a lower monthly payment to go with it? So that created the pressure because the flippers continued to flip like it was 2022. But the buyers did not continue to buy like it was 2022. The buyers like, shoot, we better stay renting or we better stay at the current house. I see it all the time actually. Right now I'm dealing with many people who are planning to buy 1 or 2 years ago. And now they're saying that due to the interest rates being still high, they hoped interest rates would go down. Interest rate didn't go down. And they're fine with that. They got used to that idea, to those interest rates. But guess what? Taxes and insurance just went up. And now their monthly payment is $500 to $600 higher than what it was when they calculated for the same interest rate, same price a year ago. And as a result, they're saying, okay, we're going to wait another year to see if we can afford to move. So that's what's happening with supply and demand. Supply continues to produce like it's 2022. Demand is not continuing to go like it's 2022. Demand is in a whole, demand is one of those situations like we're not in Kansas anymore, total kind of thoughts. And as a result, you're seeing this high months of inventory where the sellers are waiting for several months to sell. Then they're forced to cut their prices. As they cut their prices, the buyers get a little bit of a break on the price. Now their monthly payment, despite the higher insurance, higher taxes, becomes affordable or what they expected last year, and then they buy. So that creates a cycle. This high level of inventory creates a cycle in which the buyers wait, and they can afford to wait. There's so many homes available for sale until somebody cuts their prices, and that price cut person receives their offer, and on they go, and the rest of the people are holding onto their properties, even though the buyers are not buying. So that's what's happening with the months of inventory. What is a healthy months of inventory? Anything under 3. So Tarrant County has the healthiest. And the most unhealthy in this batch is Dallas County, the oversupply, under demand in Dallas County, although not as bad as in some other counties. When we start to look at counties like for example, Hunt County, Henderson County, Harker County, you're going to see supply and demand twice as high. I mean, months of inventory twice as high. Lots of properties are just sitting there already for over a year without being sold. But anyhow, for right now, 4.5 is our 4.3 is our average. It means it is a buyer's market, at least a slight buyer's market. Anything above 3 is a buyer's market. And the higher it goes from 3, the more buyer the buyer market becomes. The more progressively buyer the buyer market becomes. So our months of inventory are not that great. They were at 3 in December. They jumped to almost 3. They jumped a little bit in January, and then they skyrocketed by April. Why? Because everybody was waiting for the end of the holiday season to sell. So many people exited and pulled their homes off market to reset their days on market in November. This is why you see this sharp drop. And as soon as the holidays and the freeze was over, they put it back in the market. So we're now back to where we started or even higher. That's the story with the months of supply. So supply, the actual supply. It's very similar to months of supply, except that months of supply measure the ratio between unsold and sold homes, and supply, just a simple supply, measured just unsold homes. So the unsold homes are still higher than we've seen them in the last 5 years or 3 years. And the one that it's interesting that Dallas County continued to have the anti rating of the highest number of homes, unsold homes. And the smallest one is actually Denton. Denton has the smallest number of unsold homes from the sample. What about our demand? Let's look at how our demand is shaping up. So even though our supply skyrocketed in let's just say we're 3, so right now it's 1.5 the time of what we had, let's just say, in 2022. Our demand continued to be pretty similar. You can see that the demand is slightly lower, right? So if, for example, in 2022 we were routinely expecting 2,500 for Tarrant County, Dallas County was 2,300, Collin County was 1,400, Denton County was 1,400. Right now we are definitely lower. If we draw straight lines, we're about at this line right here. So that was our demand. That was sold sales, sold homes. In 2022, we definitely had a bubble. Similar but slightly smaller bubble in 2023. Similar but even slightly smaller one in 2024. And if this trend continues, we'll have the same pattern going into 2025 being the smallest of them all so far. But let's see, where can we expect the highest number of closed sales, which means when can the home sellers expect the highest number of home buyers to write the offers? So in 2022, the highest point of closed sales, the highest number of closed sales were in June, which means that the contracts for those properties were probably written in May, which means that the highest number of offers probably occurred in May. For 2023, May was the highest number of sales, which means that the highest number of offers probably occurred in April. 2024, highest number of closed homes was in May, which means that the highest number of offers was probably in April. So this is the troubling part. Does that mean that the number of this pretty sad and pathetic looking number of closed sales is like the highest that we're going to have for this year? I hope it doesn't start to trend after that. But yeah, apparently right now, based on the data from the 2023 and 2024, we might be like at the best time of our lives, and it's kind of dud. It doesn't feel very flushed with the market. Doesn't feel very flushed with buyers at all. Everybody is suffering very few multiple offers. Most people are so thankful to get an offer. Anyhow, so that's our demand, which is closed sales. As you can see, we're not at the most impressive start yet, but we can always pray, right? We can always pray for a miracle to happen and the number of closed sales to jump up. Okay. Days on market. Oh no, let's take percentage of original price. So in order to sell their property compared to their asking price, what was the outcome? So if, let me just kind of decode this graph for you. If a seller received the full asking price, his number would be at about 100, which means he received 100% of his asking price. Anything above 100 means he had multiple offers and he sold over asking, and consequently, anything below 100 means he sold below his asking and lost a little bit of his sale power due to price cuts. So right now we can see that all the counties are trending so close. Like, notice how different they were in 2022, but they're like literally trending together and hugging each other in 2025. And right now, just to let you know, guys, okay, this part is where your make or break situation happens. Most of you who are flippers, if you're not a flipper, then you won't know what I'm talking about, but most of you who are flippers are asking your realtors, me and other realtors, to calculate the ARV, after repair value, for you. And we do based on sale prices, or past sale prices. Or if you are a homeowner, you're asking us to calculate your potential sale price based on the other homes sold in the area. And then you really hold on to that price like to dear life, because in your opinion, you kind of hitched your mind that that's going to be your sale price. What I would like you to do is to hitch your mind to say, I'm likely to sell at what I'm planning to sell it, minus 3 to 4%. Minus 3 to 4%. So I'll just say that your home is $500,000, 1% of $5,000, 3% of $15,000. So I'm likely to sell 500 minus 3%, which means about 375, something like that, or 475, my bad. So please put it in your mind when you're calculating your potential good offer. A good offer these days is 3% below asking, believe it or not, based on this data. It is cumulative data from thousands of sales in a Dallas-Fort Worth area. So when you receive an offer that is lower, if it's lower by less than 3%, be thankful because you are getting a good deal. If it's lower by more than 3%, then try to bring it to 3% to stay in the run. If you're an investor and you're still planning to flip, or you're in the process of flipping, please, whatever was your ARV that you calculated when you purchased the property, deduct 3% from it, and that's most likely going to be your actual sale price. So adjust your expenses accordingly so you do not accidentally put yourself in an upside down situation where you worked so hard to jam every single piece of update to this property that you could, utilize your entire renovation budget to the last penny, just to find out that now your house is you're only getting what you would call lowball offers, but they're not lowball, they're actually normal offers, at about 3% below your asking. So when you're calculating your ARV, in your mind, remove 3 to 4% from your ARV and make that as your ARV1. So ARV is 500, ARV1 is 485, and that is normal. And that is your true ARV. Okay. Days on market. Let's see how many days we are on market. Actually, we're not doing too bad. In January, we were 40 to 47 days on market. Now we're down to 25 to 28. So across the board, notice how closely the data is trending for most properties except for Dallas County. Dallas County seems to be a little bit lower, moving a little bit faster. That shows per listing. How many shows do we have per listing? In 2022, we had 30, anywhere between 15 and 30 people per listing. Okay. Now we're down to 4 people per listing. So if you had 4 showings, be happy, because that's an average. That's a sad, like we dropped from 30 to 4. I'll just say to 5. So we dropped by 6 times. Like we have 6 times fewer buyers, but the same number of production or even higher. Look at that. We're putting out more homes for sale than we did in 2022, but we have 6 times fewer buyers than we had in 2022. So there's just food for thought for you. Should you be thinking of generating 50 flipped homes this year, given that the number of buyers is not what it used to be in 2022? Or maybe you should, depending on your strategy. Or maybe you should think and say, Okay, if I know that there's 6 times fewer buyers, but 4 times more property than they were 4 years ago, what should I do? Like, what is my strategy to survive in this market? And same thing if you're a homeowner. If you're thinking about selling your home and you bought it in 2021, 2022 at the good old times when prices were high, and now you need to sell because your mortgage is getting too high due to increase in taxes and insurance, you need to ask yourself, how am I going to attract these pitiful 4 or 5 buyers who are walking between the properties, deciding which one to buy? Of course, there's more than um, 4 or 5 buyers. Of course, there's many more. And just many of them are not making bids. They're still waiting. I cannot tell you how many people I had this year who started to look. They looked for about a month or two. They visited a ton of properties, just a ton. They liked a lot of them, but they kept saying, I will see what comes up next week. Maybe next week will be something, just as good but cheaper. And they were not pulling the trigger. There was no urgency. There were no urgency. They were on a month-to-month rent, and there was just no urgency in settling on a house and making an offer. They continued to look for a bigger, better deal. Ended up not buying at all, saying that everything is too expensive. So just to let you know that even though we do have showings doesn't transfer to necessarily buyers who are ready to pull the trigger. They might be just window shopping for the moment. Anyhow, I would say that overall it is a little bit discouraging. The data is a little bit discouraging. The prices are not moving up. In some cases, they are slowly moving down compared to previous years. Some counties are doing better than others. Some zip codes are definitely doing better than others, and that's the topic of a couple of next videos. But the supply right now is too high for the diminished number of buyers. That is all that I had to say for right now. I hope I didn't discourage you too much. Now remember, it is an per county level, so do not look at the county level and assume that every zip code within that county has the same pattern. Quite the opposite. Some zip codes are freaking kicking ass right now. And once I finish recording the data for the counties, I will record the data for the zip codes, and you will love it. You will love some of the zip codes that I'm going to show you. And those zip codes are probably going to be the money makers. And then I'll show you some money non-makers whom I think you should avoid if you want to not to regret your flip decision, or at the very least where you need to be extremely careful not to overspend on improvements. That's it for now. Thank you so much. My name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. And if you have any questions about a specific zip code, county, subdivision, data on a specific house, projections for resale price, just let me know. I will do my best to answer quickly, although sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with requests like that. But nevertheless, I'm going to be putting information for Parker, Johnson, Ellis County next video, and then maybe Hunt, a couple of other counties like Hunt, Henderson, what were the other ones? Kaufman, a few others. So I'm going to create a couple of more so those of you who are planning to flip in those counties could see the trends for those counties. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you at the next video.